Okay guys, it's time to talk about your summative project for the unit. So the first thing I want to mention to you is the timetable. I want you to understand what you can expect for the amount of time you'll have to complete this project. First of all, today is day one, and your goal today is going to be just to learn about the project requirements and then to spend any remaining time you have to look for inspiration. That could mean going into brainstorming mode and just coming up with a list of words and ideas that had crossed your mind during this unit that you thought would be fun to illustrate with perspective. Or perhaps it could mean going back to old sketches you've done, adding to them, playing around with them, possibly looking up images on the internet that are in perspective. A good tip there is to look at photography as well, because perspective can be viewed from real life, not just always in a drawing. So look at artwork in perspective, look at also photography in perspective. Make sure you're looking at the correct type of perspective. If you're in 2D1, you've been doing 1-point perspective. And of course, if you're in 2D2, you've been doing 2-point perspective. So look those up appropriately. But after day one, on the day two, you're going to end up doing what I call the sketch day. This is where we're going to create 3 compositional arrangements of one idea. So by the second day, you need to have your idea whittled down at least to a main concept that you can then begin to sketch out. You might remember this week we practiced compositional arrangements, putting the horizon line high-low, doing different viewpoints. The idea is that you spend that day working on this, and then you're going to submit it to me that day. And this should have a 1. I don't know why I put a 2 there. What these numbers represent is how many days you get for each of those activities. So this will be not today, but tomorrow. It's important you know that you're going to submit those sketches to me so that I can give you feedback, which hopefully I'll have time to do very quickly in audio form. So when you open up your feedback in the gradebook, you'll see like a little play button where you can listen to my quick feedback. The next stage will then be to listen to your feedback and begin your drawing. You're going to have 5 days to do that, and I think for most of you that's going to be just fine. What you need to know is that you're going to submit progress photos of your work each day. I think what I'm going to go ahead and try to do is allow you to bring your art to and from home into the school building in your backpack. If you are a student who is hybrid. So keep that in mind, hybrid students. This will be the first and only time you will probably bring your art to and from home. I just don't want you to fall behind, so I want that to be an option, and it'll be really great for you to get live feedback from me on your actual drawings. So plan on doing that. And then eventually, after we get through the drawing stage, there'll be 5 more days to do coloring. Notice that I gave you a generous amount of time there because coloring can often ruin your drawing if you don't do it well. So I'm going to have high expectations on coloring based off of our practice that we did already. Of course, that 5th day will be the day that you submit your final project. There will be a short little reflection that you'll have to do as well in some kind of written or oral form. I'm not sure yet how I'm going to handle that one. There's a document that I'm attaching here. I'm going to show you briefly. It's the rubric. This is the medium and technique rubric. I've given you specific examples of what that looks like at the really basic levels all the way up into the more advanced levels with examples like simple forms, keeping the ruler in sequence but having a lot of errors and maybe lacks a little bit of definition in the color. That's a poor example, but maybe it has just enough evidence of knowledge of, perspective that I could give that person possibly a passing grade. Hopefully no one's down here by the time they're done with those 10 days of work. So most of you need to really read thoroughly through the advanced level with the amount of time I'm giving you. I don't see any reason why you couldn't hit on every one of these bullet points and make sure that you're including those skills. You may not know early on in your project how you're going to fit in some of them, but as it develops, you should be able to find some creative ways to do that. So you're going to take some time today really looking through these examples. And if you have any issues or questions about what they mean, these are all things that we have covered in our tutorial lessons so far, but you can email me and ask me for clarification. And I'll do my best to get that info back to you. So take a good look through the rubric today, and then you can begin your research and your listing, your brainstorming, collecting images. Those of you that have, devices where you can get into things like Pinterest, that's a great place to look for ideas. Redbubble has neat illustrations that might inspire you. Some of you don't really need your inspiration to be in perspective. What you need is almost like a story or a character or a setting that inspires you that you could use as a jumping off point. So be creative about that. Remember, your artwork can be serious, it can be funny, it can be whatever you want it to be, as long as it's in perspective and it shows off these skills. Okay, and also last thing, make sure that you are carefully examining the descriptions of color. What's it going to take to get a high level grade when it comes to the coloring? So those are kind of those questions you want to be looking at today while you're reading through here. So guys, I think that's about it for now. Of course, you're going to have questions along the way, but I hope this helps to kind of give you an overview of what you can expect for your summative project this unit. Get your colored pencils ready, get your sketching paper ready, and be ready to work on the summative. Oh, one last thing. You're going to get summative paper from me. So I mentioned there would be some preliminary sketches, and then you would launch into the real drawing. You need to make sure that you get good quality drawing paper from me before we launch into the real thing. So on that sketch day, if you haven't gotten paper from me yet, please do. Those of you at home, you can come up and get that from the attendance office that's at the main entrance. So don't hesitate, and if you need to make special arrangements, that's fine. Let me know what you need. You guys, I'm super excited to see what you come up with your sketches, and stay in touch.